And
Whoa, whoa.
this is the monthly meeting of the paddlecraft coordinators, and it's on the second Sunday of each month uh, at 8:30 Eastern time. And then every other month, we have a training session. So this is our first training session, and Scott Szczepaniak is going to be doing a uh, presentation on social media. And Scott, if you'd like to take it away, and then at the end of the presentation, we've got a big announcement to make that is going to be part of Scott's presentation. So,
All
Scott.
right, great. Whoa, go back, go back. Well, welcome everybody. I really appreciate you coming in early from Hawaii and staying up late on the East Coast here. I know it's after my bedtime, but that's okay because I'm jazzed and I'm excited. Happy to see some friends and old pod mates. And so we'll spend about 30 or so minutes talking about how you can save lives by influencing paddlers' behavior with social media. And for those of you who don't know me, my name is Scott Szczepaniak, and I am the Coast Guard 7th District Recreational Boating Program Specialist. And my states in District 7 include South Carolina, Georgia, Florida, Puerto Rico, and the U.S. Virgin Islands. So pretty great area of responsibility that I get to work in. And again, thanks y'all for giving up your time tonight. We do have a special guest star with us tonight, the veritable godfather of using social media to influence boaters' behaviors. He's a recent recipient of the National Association's State Boating Law Administrators Lifetime Achievement Award. He's been a great mentor and a good friend. And welcome Paul Bernard, who's shaking his head with uh,
Good evening, everybody, and thanks for the kind words, Scott.
Right. So, some objectives tonight. After the training, I want everyone to join Facebook paddling groups in their local area and their states. I want them to be able to find or create effective posts to promote paddlecraft safety. We want to share the post with your area Facebook groups, and we want you to be able to bask in the knowledge of the difference you're making in the lives that you're saving. And we've got another special guest star, Joey Taguting, and he is going to be our hall monitor, our chat monitor. And so feel free to use the chat. And Joey's been instructed to make laughing emojis if you ask a silly question and interrupt me if you ask a pertinent question. So thank you for that, Joey. You there and you ready to go?
Here, standing by, ready to go, and thank you for that intro.
Okay, great. And is are the slides, I just want to be sure they're coming through clean.
Looks good.
Okay. Um, so why do we do this? Why do we engage in recreational boating safety? And tonight with a focus on paddlecraft. Well, my boy who left for Columbia College today, he was home for the weekend, is 19 years old. And we live in South Carolina. And just a month ago, not too far from where my Jonah goes to college, a young man named Josh Edwards, 19 years old, was out paddling with his friend, and a little bit of weather came up. But what really happened was that the kayak capsized, and he took a gulp of water. And the next day, the dive team found his body, and they found it in 11 feet of water, 20 yards, 60 feet from the shoreline. And he hadn't been wearing a life jacket at the time that he capsized. My boy's 19, Josh Edwards, same age this year, same neck of the woods where my boy goes to college. In upstate South Carolina, there's a man-made lake called Lake Jocassee. I've been paddling on Lake Jocassee since 2008, at least once a summer. One branch of it is 6 miles long. The other branch is 8 miles long. Lake Jocassee is 350 feet deep at its deepest spot. That people come from all over the world to scuba dive because the water's all mountain fed, it's all spring fed, it's all crystal clear. Jacques Cousteau said it was one of the clearest bodies of water that he ever paddled in. And certainly Lake Jocassee has a very warm place in my heart, very important place to me. That was in September there that I took that photograph of 2023, just over a year ago. Less than a month later, a 26-year-old man and his girlfriend were camping on one of the islands in their kayaks, and they came out. And whenever the dive boat's looking for the bodies, that pretty much tells me they're not wearing a life jacket. Here's another connection to me. Just this year on the Susquehanna River in Pennsylvania, a place where I used to fish as a boy. Brent King was out doing what he loved. He was fishing, and my kids are stepchildren, and he left behind a stepdaughter and a 6-year-old son. Kind of an interesting case here. He was wearing a manual activated inflatable life jacket, but you can only imagine how cold that water was in February. And when you hit that water, you gasp and down you go. And the last thing you're thinking of is finding that little tab to pull and inflate the life jacket. Cool. This Mario Munoz, he was from Northeast Philadelphia. Again, a personal connection. That's where I grew up. He took his kids in the Pocono Mountains, where I used to vacation as a young man, or as a kid rather, around Thanksgiving. And he jumped in. One of the boats fell over. He jumped in without a life jacket. And if you see what does it say there, Jerry, in quotation marks in the middle of the screen?
Are you asking Jerry or are you asking me?
Joey.
31.
In the quotation marks in the middle of the screen, it was like his body was paralyzed and he sunk.
His wife recalled. So, in short,
Yeah. Well, me and the Lord, we got an understanding.
We're on a mission from God.
We're on a mission from God. So these are our people. This is our target audience. Young people out on their inflatable, having fun. For the most part, they're new paddlers that just don't know any better. And how many of them are there? Well, we're doing good nationwide with boating deaths. A little decrease in 2023 since 2022, more than a little decrease, 11%. Unfortunately, in our paddlecraft world, increased again to almost 1 in 3 of the recreational boating deaths in the United States. And unfortunately, that marks a slight increase of 5% or so increase from the year before. A lot of reasons for that. But paddlecraft are inexpensive. They're accessible to a lot of people. They're fun. And again, they just don't know any better. Why are they dying? Almost inevitably, the cases that I review in this year and last year, they drown and they're not wearing a PFD. A lot of times there's cold water involved. In Florida here, it gets cold. Eiffel, super popular, super charismatic guy. He was a fitness director, a community leader. And 2 days before this past Christmas, he was in his ocean canoe with friends right off the beach in the ocean in Jacksonville. And boy, the water was cold. And that's how Eiffel was dressed. No shirt, short shorts, and no life jacket. And those outriggers broke, and his friends saw him. He hit that cold water. He took one breath, and they found his body a few days later. So, what's our role? It's written down pretty clearly in the strategic plan of the National Recreation Boating Safety Program. Our mission is to reduce fatalities, injuries, and property damage. And how are we supposed to do that? We do that by influencing recreational boaters' behaviors. And the messages that we want to influence, the behaviors we're trying to change and influence. We want folks to wear a life jacket. We want them to take instruction and paddle with and I put in parentheses there, squared away paddling club, as opposed to the club that disregards safety and doesn't require life jackets. We want them to have a respect and be prepared for cold water. And finally, we want them to mark their paddlecraft with their name, their phone number, an emergency contact name and phone number. And my friend Hunter Bland, he's a boating safety rock star. We have to meet them where they are, is what he says. And I think the audio's going through here. So let's hope we can hear what Hunter says, because
I was fishing an FLW collegiate tournament in Bainbridge, Georgia on Lake Seminole, and I had just went through boat check for my life jacket and engine cutoff device. We passed all inspections and things were going great. Connor and I are moving down the river at roughly 55 miles per hour, and all of a sudden we lose a nut on our hydraulic steering. Our hydraulic steering comes apart and we're ejected from the boat. The boat makes a full circle and I get trapped underneath the boat for the full 360. I was completely disoriented. I had no clue which way was up. I was wearing my engine cutoff device when I was ejected from the boat, and it shut off the engine immediately. Connor's life jacket automatically deploys, and he's able to swim over to me and pull my cord on my life jacket, and they were able to hold on to each other and swim back into the boat. I've been boating for my entire life, and not once would I ever think this could happen to me. I want to make sure everybody knows what saved my life and try and help others. So the next time you go out boating, think about the worst possible scenario and prepare for that, because if it wasn't for my engine cutoff device and my life jacket, I would not be here today.
If it wasn't for his engine cutoff switch and his life jacket, he would not be here today. Hunter truly believes he is on a mission from God to share that very engaging story. So Hunter says we got to meet them where they are. And where are they on the internet? Well, if we look on Facebook and we do a search for kayaking or canoeing or stand-up paddleboarding, and add our city or our state to it, a search on kayaking in Charleston comes up with the Charleston Kayakers with over 2,000 members, and stand-up paddleboard Charleston with 1,000 members. So a lot of places where they are. Places you might not want to reach out to is the Booty Patrol. I think Paul's a member of that one, but just to give the safety message too. And I'm not 420 friendly, but I am a member of Kayaking Florida that's 420 friendly, because our mission doesn't say anything about whether you're puffing on the marijuana cigarette or not. Our job's to influence everybody. I'll tell you where our audience is not. They're not on Coast Guard channels. They're not on Coast Guard auxiliary channels. They're not on boating safety channels. And so we've got to get our quality social media posts to where they are. And we'll talk about exactly how to do that. The famous rabbi Stephanie Alexander said, "We don't change behaviors when presented with facts. you change behaviors by hearing stories. And boy, I think she was given a sermon about recreational boating safety that night. But that gave me goosebumps because we got to tell the stories. So how do we get a good engaging post? It's got to be a video, a story, and actually more words rather than fewer are more better. And where do we get this good content? From the news media, from Facebook groups managed by Paul and me, and from nonprofit partner sites. The Water Sports Foundation and Safe Boating Council have incredible online resources at their main sites and great Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube channels. So here's your first engagement tonight. The question is how effective do you think that new paddler that sees that logo? Oh, hey, I see a logo. It says wear it. Am I going to change my behavior? And I can't see the chat, so you guys are going to start filling up the chart. They're going to be really affected by that, or a little affected by that, or maybe not at all affected by that. Joey, what's the chat? What's the chat saying?
Cheryl Stoddard has put her 2 cents in. She says it's a 50-50 chance.
All right. Anybody else?
Yep. Bill Turner, probably not at all. And Aaron Atkins is saying pretty low.
Yeah, Donna's shaking her head dismissively. They're not going to change their behavior. Alternatively, and were you guys getting the audio on that Hunter Bland video, Joey?
Yes, we were, sir.
Okay, great. So, all right, here's the alternative to just wear it. So, logo or the video, which do you like? Which do you like better? You don't have to put it in there. The question is where that video come from. It came from the Water Sports Foundation. If you if you do a web search on the Water Sports Foundation and you look at their media center, and then you drill down for kayaks and stand-up paddle boards, they got a dozen or more videos related to that. A huge library. Can you use that? Donna, you're a good head shaker. Is that a yes or a no? Can you use it? Yes,
Yes.
That's what it's there for.
Yep.
The Coast Guard pays for those productions. The Coast Guard reviews them when they're finalized and gives them the seal of approval, and they get posted to the website then with a big disclaimer or with a big note on it. There's no copyright to worry about. This is produced with public money for anybody in the recreational boating safety in the boating world to use as they see fit. So yes, you can use it. Or you can write your own story. Like I said, more words turn out are better, and we think about how short of an attention span we have these days. But when I'm mindlessly scrolling social media, everybody's got a one-line something to say about something. And then when I come across Paul Bernard's post that's 2 pages long, I stop. Oh, here's something different. And I read it. and I'm not the only one. We've got a PhD candidate did a doctoral program on social media, and her conclusions are the same. More words are better. On Labor Day, I came across two women in recreational kayaks on Charleston Harbor, and they one capsized and the other was sinking. What are you sinking about? And I put the binoculars on them. I reached for my VHF FM marine radio handheld because that's the kind of guy I am. But as the binoculars steadied, I could see they were making some progress swimming those two boats into the beach. So I didn't call a mayday. I jogged down the beach to help them out. And it turns out they had borrowed the kayaks from the yacht club. They one of them had a crack in it. They didn't know about it. The other one had a boat plug that was missing, a drain plug that was missing, and so they were filling up with water. I looked around, and not only were they not wearing life jackets, they didn't have any life jackets strapped to the boats or floating in the harbor. So I gently told them after they calmed down a little bit, they were okay. That hey, I'm not an enforcement guy, but I will tell you that state and federal law requires you to have life jackets, and common sense says that it works that you're wearing it. And I told them that my passion was coming from I do this for a living, and then the day before, the 19-year-old boy in Florida had drowned in a kayak accident for a lake. And the one woman looked around at the car ship coming in and the ferry boats going back and forth, and she said, I wouldn't go down the end of my street if without putting my seatbelt on, and look at us out here. And they were very receptive to the message. They were appreciative of my help. And I hopped on my bike and I rode home, and I rode it up. And I shared that on the Auxiliary District 7 page. And not many people on the Auxiliary District 7 page. That's not our audience. We all know we should be wearing life jackets. But what I did is I shared that around, and we had over 31,000 impressions. People saw that post. 31,000 people, and just one of them might wear a life jacket, and they might get jammed up, and that life jacket might save their life. But if 10 auxiliaries read it, that's not going to influence anybody's behaviors. But Paul, what does that say in the speech bubble there?
Those are amateur numbers, Scott. Do you want me to tell the story, or are you going to do it in your next slide?
I'm going to do it in my next slide. Paul, my mentor, said 30,000. Heck, you got to be kidding. Amateur numbers, kid, amateur numbers.
Hey, Scott,
Yeah,
I have a question.
yeah.
Why aren't laws more enforced? Like, even when we were doing our training, we saw so many people paddling, kayaking without life jackets on. And we could have just given them the okay, hey, listen, you need to put your life jacket on. We are the Coast Guard Auxiliary. We need you to put your life jacket on. But why isn't it being enforced?
Jen, you live in South Florida, right?
Yep.
Nobody speeds on 95 down there when it's not a traffic jam, right? So yeah, that's about it. We'll talk about that more. But to get back to Paul's amateur numbers, he wrote a 2-page paper about these guys that were miraculously saved because they had a personal locator beacon. And he didn't have 30,000 people reached. He had over 300,000 reached, with over 30,000 sharing it, commenting on it, sharing it. There's no laughing emojis. There's thumbs ups and there's hearts. So these kind of messages are pretty well received by our communities.
Scott, may I interject something very quickly there?
Of course you may, sir.
All right. So, kind of going back to one of the first things that Scott mentioned as he kicked this off is that it's all about shaping behavior. That's what our participation in social media is about. So, when we posted this particular information, I kept noticing that somebody with the screen name of ACR Tech was giving thumbs up and responding. And ACR, if you're not familiar with them, they're the leading producers of EPIRBs and PLBs. So I messaged this guy and said, "Hey, just out of curiosity, are you seeing a spike in sales?" And he said, "Yes, we've seen a substantial spike in sales, and West Marine is out and begging for more in some locations." So when you think about the ultimate goal of shaping behavior done the right way, this is a very powerful influencer of behavior.
And I didn't mention that because I knew Paul would. Thank you, sir. One of our District 7 auxiliaries posted this. Please wear it. It's not weakness, it's wisdom. That sucker had 2 shares and 5 likes, all by Coast Guard auxiliaries. I don't think that's influencing our audience at all. Just because you're posting doesn't mean you're influencing. For our kayak instructors, we like to say, just because you're teaching doesn't mean they're learning. So we got to think critically about what we're doing and measure it a little bit. And so what do you need to do? You need to join the groups and pages local to your city and state. You need to post appropriate, engaging content. You need to find a mentor, a consultant, a friend that you can use as a sounding board. Roland and I talked about this earlier. I don't do anything without talking to Paul Bernard that's of any significance. Not because he's my mentor at this point, but because he's a like-minded individual that serves as a good sounding board. Roland and I, when we're thinking about things related to AuxPad, will frequently call each other. I'll frequently call Joey. Don will frequently call those guys or check in with me as he's pursuing his instructor trainer certification. Find a mentor, find a consultant, find a friend, give them a text. Hey, dude, you got 10 minutes for a phone call? I've got an idea that I want to talk through with you. And inevitably, that becomes a better idea. Roland, can you give me a thumbs up if you agree with that sentiment?
I'll give you a thumbs up, Scott.
Thank you, sir. Anything to add?
Well, like we talked about earlier, I think that's just whatever work you're doing, it's just better when you get other people helping you and giving you a second set of eyes on it and review. And I think not just with social media, but with all of our work, I think it's so valuable to support each other. So I totally agree with what you're saying.
Thank you, sir. So what you can't do is you can't tell them what to do because we're Americans. We don't like to be told we have to get a vaccine or we have to wear a life jacket or we have to wear a seatbelt. Give them a story and let them come to their own conclusion that it makes better sense for them to wear a life jacket. Don't tell them what to do. Don't go on the attack. Oh, there's a mother and a little kid out for their first kayak adventure, and the little kid's wearing an inappropriate life jacket, and the mom's not wearing one at all. Oh man, you should be wearing a life jacket. Blah blah. That people don't respond well to that. They're personal attacks. They're attacks. The next day or the day after that, post a great video or an engaging post, share it on that page. And trolls, we don't deal with too many of them, but don't open the troll door. If you're sharing a news media article about somebody who died, hey man, we're sincerely sorry the family and friends that this happens. Don't go on the attack, like I just said, and create your trolls and don't engage trolls. They can be drunk, vicious, and unpredictable. Take the high road always. And so if somebody pushes back, ask a good question or makes a good point, you can respectfully engage them, or that might be the time to call the mentor. Hey, this guy is pushing back. I had a guy say some of those people are killing themselves, and I know that to be true based on my Coast Guard search and rescue page outs. And I talked to Paul a little bit. Yeah, this guy's saying and he gave me some advice, and we didn't just leave him hanging. We're not going to, it's unfortunate, it's true. We're not going to influence those people, but we are going to influence those people who just don't know. So stay away from the trolls. So if if you're using Facebook and you're not on Paul's wonderfully managed, you're not one of his 8.1 thousand members, go ahead and join the Heartland Safe Boating post. And it's on one hand, District 8 focused, and on the other hand, the information almost inevitably is suitable for any district. I'm starting to step up using the Coast Guard Auxiliary 7th District Facebook page. We've got 3,000 folks on that page. And so start following that. And that way you can see Paul's post and you can see my post. So what's next for you? You're going to join these local social media paddling groups. You're going to find or create the post and push it somewhere that has metrics, whether that's your flotilla page or your personal page or wherever, but it's great if we can count it. Once I post it up to Auxiliary District 7, then I share the post with relevant groups. I just go down and hit share and I select my groups, Florida Power Boating Club and Tampa's Offshore Club, and on and on and on. And track the metrics and then just sit back and celebrate, and tell each other, tell Paul about your successes. And if your things aren't working for us, give one of us a call and say, hey, it didn't work, and what do you think? Can I get an amen? And you guys, boy, I hope you all sit down there. Joey, tell me that chat's blowing up with amens.
Sorry, Scott, we get crickets at the
Amen.
moment, so I'm looking for feedback at this times.
Come on now, William Turner and Donald Rice and David M.
I'm giving you my physical amen.
Go ahead.
I got 2, I got 3, I got 5, 6.
All right. William Turner and Amanda and Natalie and all right, we're good to go.
You get an amen from Bernard.
Okay, Brian, thank you, sir. Know that you're making a difference. Know that you're making a difference. The green line on the bottom is the number of fatalities since the early 70s. The orange line in the middle is the actual number of boats. And that gray line above it, if things had kept going the way they were going before our program got started, that's how many fatalities there would have been. 3,500 a year, and instead we're at about 600 a year. Well over 75,000 lives have been saved based on your efforts, based on our efforts. And then we're talking about social media and electronic media, and just throwing some ideas out there. I will often search on Facebook for a flotilla that's in Charleston, or a flotilla that's in Tampa, or a flotilla, and nothing comes up. And I keep poking around, and there's Coast Guard Auxiliary flotilla 712-2, and I don't know what 712-2 means, and nobody else does. So think about renaming your public-facing auxiliary flotilla page to emphasize location. Coast Guard Auxiliary Dania Beach, Florida, and then put the number. If you have your flotilla 7113 in your email signature, update that email signature because you're sending that email to people who don't know where you are. And so add your physical location. Boy, if you're the DSO SLO, I know that's pretty impressive, but not too many other people in the world know that the DSO SLO stands for District Staff Officer, State Liaison Officer. So spell it out, update your signature line so you can be better communicators and more better influencers. I call them MLAs. Does anybody know what an MLA is? You can shout it out if you know. You don't have to put it in the chat. That's a multiple letter acronym. We want to avoid the MLAs. So I'll open it up for just a few minutes of questions because then we got some exciting stuff to share. And you can put it in the chat or you could unmute yourself and raise your hand, or Joey, if any good questions, real pertinent questions developed in the chat. I can't see it. If Joey, you could let me know. Anybody have any questions?
No questions at the moment, sir.
I actually have my hand raised. I wanted to recommend, we're having a problem in our flotilla because the fellow that set up the Facebook page has left the auxiliary. He's done. He's out. And he is unable. We've checked everything that we can do. We've checked all the background. We've checked everything. He cannot transfer the Facebook page over to somebody else. He can make someone else a co-person, but you don't have all the permissions that he did, and there's no way for him to transfer ownership over 100%. So I haven't explored it yet, but anybody who's looking to set up a page, you might want to set up a page and kind of create an email for the flotilla and create a persona for the flotilla that will be shared by whoever's going to manage the page and can be passed on to the next person and not be something dedicated to just one individual with their data involved. Because now that page that we have is going to be lost because there's no way to get it from this guy.
Good advice. Thank you. And if anyone has some workarounds other than starting a new public-facing page that has a little more forethought in it, please share them offline. William, you had your hand up, sir.
Yeah, I'm just typing it right now because I thought, well, I'll get that done and Joey can read it.
Hey, Joey, what's William Turner have to say?
Bill Turner is asking, can sit on top kayaks actually hold all the required equipment that is recommended by the auxiliary in Oxpad? And Michelle is responding, yes, they can. But if you have any forthcoming information, Scott, please.
Yeah, I just did a little life jacket video playing with some a new life jacket, and boy, a lot of the equipment sits right in my life jacket. So I'm a relatively inexperienced sit on top paddler. I was down in Miami and I forgot to put sunscreen on my legs. I'm good about sunscreen, and the reason I forgot is in 30 years I never put sunscreen on my legs kayaking because I'm normally in a sea kayak with a skirt on. But if anybody has some other information, and maybe we'll share that offline as well. That's a good question to post on the Oxpad working group, and folks can talk about that. I want to keep kind of focused to social media and not general Oxpad. Joey, any other germane questions in the chat? maybe a really, really great one, or then we'll
Nothing great, Scott. It's kind of quiet in here.
okay. If everybody unmutes yourself and gives me a
Okay,
drum
Scott,
roll on your
I have
desk,
a question.
drum roll, please. Give me a quick, come on, somebody's
Scott,
got it. Natalie,
I
how about a
have a
drum roll?
question.
There we go, there we go, there we go. No one has heard this before. The
Scott, I have
registration
a
for the
question.
spring Oxpad training is open. And what is spring Oxpad training 2025? It's 4 separate tracks of kayak instruction. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 world-class instructors, some of the Oxpad program's best instructors, instructor trainers. That will be leading those 4 separate tracks. There's only 10 students per track, so that should give you some cause for urgencies. It's happening here in Charleston, South Carolina, April 28th through May 2nd. It's pretty incredibly affordable. We don't know how much it's going to cost, but for the instruction and for people who use the cabins, I think it's going to be unbelievably a total of $100. And you can read more about the cost and potential costs in the website, but it's incredibly affordable. People would normally be spending $1,000 or $1,300 for this kind of event. That's the bottom picture with the stand-up paddle boarders is a tiny cove in the big lake that we'll be using at the James Island County Park. Ashley Brown's on the Folly River, where I expect a lot of the students will be paddling with Ashley. There Jeff is on the main lake, Jeff Brown. But you guys want to, it's just an incredible event. Amanda Mitchell's been doing a ton of work on the Eventbrite site. And if you whip out your smartphones now, you can actually quick hit that QR code with the camera, and it'll go right to the Eventbrite site. You'll need your at least $100 initial registration fee, and Roland might have just a minute to talk about how that's going to change. But and if you don't catch the QR code now, watch the Oxpad working group page. Watch for emails from Roland, and we'll get some more information about this incredible spring Oxpad training event at the end of April here in Charleston.
So, yeah, Scott, I'd like to say a few things about it. It's an amazing venue. It's a park we've got 9 cabins. Each of the cabins has got 3 bedrooms. So we're planning to put 1 person in each of the bedrooms. Basically, first come, first served basis, but we've got 27 rooms in those cabins. And the paddling venues around there are extraordinary. Everything from very protected pond to really just about anything you might imagine for coastal kayaking. So for the 4 different tracks, people with different skill levels, we've got the opportunity to get out into some conditions or stay in very protected areas. It's also an extraordinary area just in terms of the instructor trainers and instructor trainer educators that live very close by. So Scott lives close to this park, Ashley Brown, Josh Hall, and Jeff Atkins. So, and there's a long tradition of some very advanced paddling events that have been held in this location for many years. So I think it really is, it's going to be a very high quality event with some very good instructor trainers, instructors, and just kind of good support all around. So we're very excited about it. And so the website that the QR code takes you to has got quite a lot of detail It explains the different tracks. There's 4 different tracks depending on your skill level and your goals. And you certainly can ask questions. There's also contact information on the website if you have more questions. Scott?
Yeah, I think what Roland didn't mention is if you're driving, we encourage you to bring your own appropriate craft. But if you're flying or otherwise not bringing your craft, there's a fleet available of roto-molded touring kayaks, sea kayaks for people to use, unbelievably, at no additional charge. We've got buses and trailers to move tracks around if they're going to be working off the lake into in the Folly River or the Stono River or Charleston Harbor. So pretty incredible program the team has put together for folks.
One other attraction, I guess, is we're going to be offering a half a day of stand-up paddleboard instruction for each of the tracks. And I think this is an area that is certainly underserved by Oxpad. Most of us don't have much stand-up paddleboard experience, and that's just a growing segment of the paddling community. And so we've got, I think all of our instructor trainers have got some background in stand-up paddleboards, and Josh Hall is very expert at it. So I think all of us really have got quite a bit that we can learn on that front.
If you were not able
All
to
right,
capture the
well,
QR
Roland,
code, if you're not able to capture the QR code, I posted it in the chat, so it should be available at that as well.
go ahead, sir.
I was going to say I'll be sending out emails to everybody who's on my list, and I think we'll be posting it also to the Oxpad working group. And I encourage everybody to share it. We don't always have a great list of who all is interested in paddlecraft, but if you know people that are not on our list or not in the working group, please share it.
And the team has been working pretty hard to put this together. It's just an incredible opportunity. And again, special thanks to Amanda Mitchell, who's
Yes.
taken a lead on the registration and some incredibly important behind the scenes stuff that nobody ever knows about, but it couldn't happen without her. So again, much thanks to everyone. I would appreciate all those amens, and I want those amens about your social media influencing followed up with action and a quick note to me saying, "Hey Scott, I've done this," or "Hey Scott, I'd like to do this," or Paul or Roland or others. The training was meaningless if you all don't take action. So I appreciate your time tonight. And again, I sincerely appreciate everything you do on your volunteer basis to improve recreational boating safety and paddlecraft safety.
And I'd like to give another amen for everything Scott said about Amanda. She really did a tremendous job on getting this website up so that we could have it for tonight. So thank you.
Awesome, Amanda.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm excited about it. It's a wonderful program.
Okay.
Thanks, everyone.
So I think Jennifer's talking. Can you unmute?
I said, what are the dates?
That's so the travel date it's going to be during the week. It starts on April 28th, which is a Monday. That's kind of an arrival date. Training starts on the 29th. And depending on the track, it's either 3 or 4 days. So to become an instructor, it's required that we have a 4-day event. Some of the people that are not training to become an instructor have an optional 4th day. So it's April 29th, it's first day of training, through either May the 1st or May the 2nd, depending on whether you stay for a 4th day.
Right, but we'll be starting at 8:30 in the morning at the latest. So you want to come in on Monday, get settled, and be fresh to go for Tuesday morning.
And we're going to plan some kind of an event that evening for everybody to meet and start to get to know each other a little bit.
Okay, so I have another question. I know that this particular session is based on social media and how we can contact people to make sure that they're safe on the water. Well, the question I have is, me as a person, just a person that's part of the Coast Guard Auxiliary, what can I say to someone who's demonstrating really bad safety skills on the water? And I want to like encourage them to, I know we said we can't like confront them, we can't like say things, they're doing the wrong thing, but what can we do to say, hey, put a life jacket on?
Jen, you're a mom, right?
Yep.
Play the mom card.
I do it all
Play
the
the
time.
mom card. Hey, man, I just want to tell you, I'm a mother. I take care of people by nature, and you really should not be going out without a life jacket. Not only is it dangerous, the Coast Guard or FWC will stop you, give you a ticket, and make you come in. But more importantly, I've been studying this, and people are dying. They go out, they don't plan to die. They're going out just like you. Please wear a life jacket properly fitted and zipped up. I'm not very good at the mom card, but all the moms
But you're a
are.
dad, so you can do the
Yeah,
dad part
so-
too.
Yeah. So and that's a hard one, and the situation's all different. But boy, play the mom card.
You know, I just this past weekend I went to a kite festival, and our kites, my little kids were all the way out, like into the water, and they landed into the water because of whatever wind fluctuation was happening. And there were people on jet skis, boats, no life jackets on, retrieving our kites. And I said, what is appropriate? What would be appropriate for me to say to them? Thank you for retrieving our $5 kites, but you risked your life for a $5 kite. You got on that boat even before the $5 kite existed. Like, what can we say to them? Because nobody had a life jacket on.
In that situation, you're probably not going to positively influence behavior. So you have to just accept that there are going to be people and times that you can't accept behavior, and in that direct kind of contact on the water is probably the most challenging way to do it. Look, we've had nationwide programs for 2 decades aimed at increasing life jacket wear, and we've seen less than a 2% increase in life jacket wear among those who are not required to wear them in that 20-year period. So your chances of moving the needle in are probably not very good. So sometimes you just have to know which battles to pick. That's what it all boils down to.
And Jennifer, I often say, if you picture Joe Sixpack on the sit on top with the fishing rods in his 30s with his big belly, not wearing a life jacket,
he's not going to wear one.
We're not going to influence his behavior. It's the people that just don't know that buy the inexpensive recreational kayak, and that's our target audience. Through hopefully informing them on social media before they get there.
I think that's important. Scott, actually, I think that's important to state for this whole entire call, that our target audience is for the people that just are not aware, not for people who just don't care, people who are not aware. Because the people who are not aware want to be aware. They're just not. And we can make them aware. But the people who just don't give a crap are not going to give a crap either way. So we need to use our time in the best way we can and influence the right people.
I have found one way, the way I normally approach kayakers when I'm out paddling myself and they don't have a life jacket on, or even if they do, one of my pockets in my life jacket is absolutely stuffed full of the little whistles. And I'll come up, paddle up and say, "Hey, do you guys have whistles for your life jackets?" And you can tell the look right away, like, "Oh shoot, I'm caught." Well, I'm not in the uniform or anything. I just say, "Hey, let me help you out. I have a few," and I dip into my pocket and I hand them out. And at that point, since they're getting something for free from me, the friendship card sort of is already out there on the table, and you can start talking to them about a couple other things like, did you bring water along? You always need to be hydrated, and the life jacket really works a whole lot better if you have it on. And, you can get in there with them for just a few minutes if you hand out a whistle. And the state park where I almost always paddle a couple of times a week, if I go out for an hour and a half of paddling and I haven't given away 4 or 5 or a half dozen whistles to people who don't have them, I've just, maybe I picked a rainy day or something, but I find that to be very helpful, to just, if you have something to give, and the whistle is something you have to give, and if they say, "Yeah, I got them," well, okay, I just wanted to stop and say, I was more than willing to hand you one if you didn't have one. That's always been my approach, and
That
I
is
never
amazing.
get combative.
What is your name?
My name?
Yep.
Bill Turner.
Bill Turner, that's an excellent idea, because I always think of ways to, like, even when kids are crossing the street, I always trying to figure out a way to, like, interject my safety skills and not let them make sure they look both ways. And we don't always have that medium. That whistle can be that medium. Here's a whistle. So if you're drowning, I can know that you're drowning, and I am educated enough to save you. Do you want to be educated enough to save yourself? That's great.
Yeah.
And we, Jennifer, remember those shiny
Yes, I gave them
reflective
away.
paddle
I've
tip
been paddling
stickers?
6 times since we
That's
left.
your silver ticket.
I gave them away.
No, that's your silver ticket to talk to somebody about
I
the
did.
importance of life jacket wear. I know you did. So
People were not wearing their life jackets. They were on the boat, though. I have to say, the life jackets were on their kayak. But I was like, "Hey, you put this on here," and then he's like, "This is not even mine." I said, "Okay, for this one use, you can at least have a shiny something that we can see, and make sure along with that, you put your life jacket on, because we need to see you and you need to be on top of the water." So, and they took it, and they took it graciously. It was great, but I don't have any more. So,
all right. Well, look, Rowan, we want to pull the plug for tonight and encourage people to talk to each other on the Oxpad Working Group Facebook page.
Yes, yeah, I think you told us all to join the Oxpad Working Group if we haven't already, and I think that's great advice. I do want to keep this to an hour. So, and this, we've invited a lot of people tonight. The next month's meeting will be paddlecraft coordinators meeting, and there's some people who are not paddlecraft coordinators, but that's a meeting where we talk more business and more kind of a broad range of topics that might help people get organized in their districts. So, Scott, I appreciate all the work you've put into this, uh, and all the other aspects of the program. You've really been a great advocate for the Oxpad program and a big supporter. So thank you. And again, thanks, Amanda, and hope to see some of you or a lot of you at spring Oxpad training.
I'll be there.
God willing, me too.
Okay, good.
Oh, shut up. We'll be there together. Shut up.
I think so.
I'll be there.
Partner.
Okay.
Thanks, everyone. Good night.
Good evening.
Great to see
Thank you, Scott. Thank you, Roland.
Thank you, everybody. This is a great thing.
Thank you, guys.
Good
Thank
night.
you.
Sign up, everyone, quick,
Yeah.
or the spots fill up.
Okay.
Hey, Jim, I see you have your hand up there. I don't want to leave you hanging. Can we help you with anything?
Yeah,